Don, Sheena. Hey, congratulations for your docuseries Spector that's on coming out on Showtime.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
So tell us what sparked you two to create this docuseries for Spector.
We were approached by Lightbox with Jonathan and Simon Chin, executive producers. They're like really heavyweights in the doc space. The Man on Wire, Searching for Sugar Man. We were obviously big fans of their work, and they approached us about another project a few months prior that didn't come to fruition, and then they kind of came back to us with this Spector project that they had. And when they came to us, they basically had it kind of pre-sold it to Showtime, so it already had distribution, but they didn't really have any like take on it. So we all kind of worked collaboratively together to figure out how to approach this story. Why this story now? What was it about this this Phil Spector story that could be relevant to the times that we live in now, and why is now the right time to have this conversation about Spector? And I think what we found in the initial research was the victim, Lana Clarkson, was this always mentioned as the B movie actress, failed movie actress, wrong side of 40 actress, went over to Phil Spector's side, barely they might as well not even mention her name half the time because they placed the label on her. So we thought that there was, if we could get the participation of the Clarkson family, that there was a real interesting opportunity to kind of flesh out Lana's story that no one really had known up until this point, and see how these two seemingly, disparate people connected this fateful night in February 2003, and what were the events that kind of brought them together. And we thought once we had that as the initial idea, that felt good, that all right, we have a take on this, we have a direction, we have a kind of guiding principle to put us on a path. So that's how we started.
Wow, that is amazing. So you managed to convince the Clarkson family to come along, but how did you want to balance it on the other side of the Spector side? Because the most notable person you got on that side is the daughter.
Correct.
We were very lucky to have gotten Nicole Spector's participation in the project. I think we learned a lot. We made a film called Framing John DeLorean, and we learned a lot through that process by speaking to John's kids, and learned what a loving and devoted father he was, and got to talk to them about their struggles, kind of reconciling the loving, devoted father that they knew with the ruthless businessman and shady criminal of that other part of John DeLorean. And so, having gone through that on that project, I think we were able to talk to Nicole about genuinely wanting to get to know her father through her eyes, and maybe contextualize some of his behavior and the events that happened in light of what happened in his own life. And so we never set out to excuse any behavior, but really on both sides, on both the Clarkson side and the Spector side, understand the things that happened in these people's lives to bring them together that fateful night in 2003.
I've watched all four parts of your docuseries, and I'm actually amazed how you balanced every perspective together in this. How important was that?
Thank you.
Rather than like a lot of documentarians, go for a specific vision or a specific idea.
I
Thank you
think
for
that,
saying that too.
yeah, thank you very much. That's really kind of you, and also, you know, something that we did strive for. And I do think documentarians, for the most part, I could only speak for us and certain peers that I know, there's individual stories, but you never set out to make a documentary that's one-sided necessarily. You never set out, especially when you're doing, you know, an investigative piece. You know, the way real investigative journalists work is you get the story from all different perspectives, and then you have to present all that and then parse through that as like what the story, what's the real story. So we were fortunate in, and again, this is something that we always strive for, but not a lot of times. If we're doing something controversial, the other side doesn't want to talk to you because there's not any upside. So you end up getting, you know, kind of one, you know, or you get the chorus of voices on one side is a lot louder than the side over here. But I think, you know, being able to get the Spector side and the Clarkson side, being able to get the prosecution and the defense, being able to get the lead detectives, being able to talk to people that worked with Phil and had good things to say about him, and people that work with Phil and didn't have such good things or good experiences to say. That really starts to create a full, complete picture of who these people are and, you know, what brought them together. And I think that, you know, every documentary should strive to include all those things. And I think many do. Unfortunately, the circumstances, a lot of times, you know, people don't want to participate and you can't force that. So, but yeah, thank you for saying that, because it was a juggling act, because ultimately we have, you know, Phil Spector's career, which in and of itself could be a 4-part doc series without even touching on what happened, you know, in 2003. You can spend all that time getting into just Phil's career, but not only do we have Phil's career to get through, we're introducing a new, you know, a new person in the story, Lana Clarkson, and trying to get to know her story. And then we have the trial and the, you know, 2 trials to get through, and then what happened in the aftermath. So we felt it was a lot of times we were like, how are we even going to get all this in 4 episodes? Now, when you start out and you think 4 episodes, it seems like, wow, that seems like a lot. And then when you get into it, you're like, man, I think we need more. So thank you for saying that. We found that balance, because that's what we, you know, obviously strive to accomplish.
And I'm grateful to have had the opportunity not only to recontextualize, you know, Phil Spector and his behavior and his life and his work, but Lana Clarkson's as well. She was not just some B-movie actress on the wrong side of 40 desperately seeking fame. She was a successful working actress who was able to make a living through her craft, who had gigs booked the next week. So I think it gave us the opportunity to take a step back and not paint these people with one color or one brush.
Well said, well said. And I was one of those people who thought, why a 4-part series? You know, it could have been done in 2 hours. But after watching it, I completely understand.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
So I appreciate this conversation. Hey, thank you very much, and congratulations once again for Spector. Everyone should definitely check it out. I had no idea. Even though I do interviews, I really had very little knowledge about Phil Spector, but this is very comprehensive and very well balanced. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Really
Jake.
appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Bye now.
Take care, man.
Take care.